do it. All right, Yancy, welcome to the program. And I want to start by thanking you for giving me this great phrase. You know, you're jumping up and down saying, man, we're celebrating fitness. And I got to say, I've kind of taken it on as my own. I mean, I started saying it joking around like over the weekend, like, hey, man, what are we doing? We're celebrating fitness. And, you know, people ask me what I do all the time, and I have a hard time explaining it, right? Like, what am I doing? Like, what's your job? And I think that's part of my job is to celebrate fitness. And I do that through, you know, making videos, making podcasts, putting stuff up on social media, covering these athletes, covering the sport. And so, yeah, I really like that. That's what we did over the course of 3 days, despite like whatever good and bad happened at the end of the day. It was a bunch of people celebrating their own fitness and other people's fitness.
When you came up to me and within like 30 seconds, I was like, there's something going on here. You were like, had a different energy, and you quickly told me about how, you know, you're going to do your first DEKA and you got your Rams and you had a different life about you, man. You had some great energy. You always do, but there was something a little different there, man. We had a little emotional moment, and I enjoyed that, man. It kind of got my morning kicked off well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're like me, a big personality and out there a lot. And you and I have, you know, talked on here a few times about kind of our history and the death race and all that fun stuff. But I love when those real moments happen and bring me right back down to earth. You know, you're setting off the fucking 70-year-old women's wave, okay? And just watching them, like, if that doesn't fucking inspire you, I don't know what's wrong with you. But then, you know, it made you cry because they each individually hugged you. And that's because they're there because of you. Now I know it's within them and they got up and did it, but you're behind this thing called DECA and they've, you know, found a reason to do this thing. So I'm really glad that I'm sure you had 1,000 moments like that, you know, behind the scenes with your team, whatever. But I love shit like that, dude. I'm very gushy. I cry a lot.
It's an unbelievable balancing act to, I know you do. It was an unbelievable balancing act for Jared and I early on in the old band in Kmart to design this in a way where, I know you've heard me say this, in the same arena on the same day, using the exact same can come in and do exactly what Carly did, or Alondra did, or Camilla did, or all the Kents and the Shadegs and the Kevin Gregory's did, and feel like they have their sport right beside their heroes in their sport. And there's some amazing stories that, you know, we've been around for 3.5 years now. And some of those people, like, everybody's like, well, this is your weekend to celebrate the cyborgs. There were some people that were doing, let's take DECA Strong, for example. In 2020, it was taking them 40 minutes to do DECA Strong. And now they're doing it in 18 or 19 in the 40 or 50 year age group. And they're at world championships and they're twice the athlete. And that person wasn't playing sports growing up. They were overweight, they were unfit, not on a good fitness journey, and they found themselves at world championships. That fills my love tank, dude. Jared and I had a long talk on the ride home, and it's, you know, if it all ended tomorrow, I would my love tank would still be filled up, man.
Well, I think the easiest place to start for us, for this call is, this was the second world championship. Last year was the first.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's all just kind of ended, but what do you think kind of the growth has been like? If you were to compare the two events, what would you say the biggest difference is from last year in New Jersey to this year in Dallas?
A couple of things really.
By the way, when this call ends, are we going to get the sneak peek of the 2024 location?
It is, to true serum honesty, it's a little up in the air. We have multiple possible locations.
Okay.
Dallas turned out great. The old, I was joking.
Go ahead.
I was joking that Eisenhower, MacArthur, and Patton planned World War II in that freaking building, but it turned out great, man. The visuals are good, but there was two things.
What about the 1954 Cotton Bowl? That's what I was thinking about when I was just looked up. I was like, holy shit, that's the fucking world famous Cotton Bowl.
For anybody that wasn't there, you walk outside and the Cotton Bowl is spitting distance from the front entry of the damn automobile building. A couple things stood out, Matt, that number one, we had a lot more countries represented. I think the Brits flew over like 47 people. We had several from Spain, obviously Canada, a couple from Mexico. Just so many Europeans that this year. Last year we were like, well, we got Anas, Chris Woolley, and there was like one more. So I was like, oh, World Championships, but it was kind of full of shit.
Right.
It just felt way more. And another thing I saw, I counted 9 legit coaching programs. I'm not talking about a gym owner that's an affiliate, like coaching programs like Kilgore and Geiger and Underdog and all the stuff. There's coaching programs everywhere, and the coaches there, and 15 of their members are there wearing their same stuff. It's like, okay, that it makes you feel like, most of those people were in age group categories, and that made me feel good. Definitely registration was up 20-30%. Seeing people race, Gregory raced 7 freaking times. But those 2 specific things really stood out, and probably had double the affiliates. I think 50 or 60 affiliates were there, and then and in some cases you had athletes from an additional affiliates where the maybe the owner of the gym wasn't there, but 70 or 80 of our 300 affiliates had athletes there competing. And that 99% of the reason we exist is the affiliate program. I always say that. Yeah, the World Championships, that's freaking 1% or less. It's what happens inside our gyms, clubs, studios, and boxes every single weekend across the world.
Yeah, that's the conversation I had early on with folks that kind of clued me in, talking about in the OCR days was, to have a real sport, you can't just have the sport, you got to have the ecosystem, right? So CrossFit has like, Rogue and TYR and all that shit, right? So in order for DEKA and Hyrox to exist, we need big sponsors. We need gyms to take it on. All those coaching programs, like we need more in the financial ecosystem and the lifeblood of the thing to be a thing. And that's the path that we're on in the hybrid space.
Yeah, I promise you I can speak for Hyrox here. Without the sponsors, we don't have 10,000 people showing up to a start line like a Spartan race or Tough Mudders over a Saturday or Sunday. It's 2,000, and you need the sponsors. You need the sponsors. You need the grassroots stuff going in the gyms. Just like CrossFit, if you look at Saturday and Sunday of our 3-day World Championships, the only way you could qualify for DECA Mile on Saturday or DECA Strong on Sunday is you had to go to a gym event. And I'll say, Jared will vouch for this. That was 100% planned. It's like, let's make them. You got to go to that gym that you've never been. They're 3 miles down the road from you, and you got to go to that freaking gym to qualify for Worlds. That's huge.
So does every event starting this weekend now qualify for next year? How does your system work?
Yeah, since mid-September, the qualifying season ended after that last DECA Fit in Orlando, and then we gave them a couple weeks, actually 1 week, the weekend after that DECA Fit, all those Strong and Miles. After that last weekend is over, mid-September, the 2023 qualifying season is over. So all of November, December, for example, is qualifying for 2024
right.
World Championships.
Why do you think you need that much of a runway? Why not up until 2 weeks before?
Yeah, well, it takes to have 2 months to send out all the the first round of qualifying emails.
Oh, right. Okay,
and then you do the roll downs. You just need a couple months to make that happen.
Right. Did anything surprise you this weekend in a good way, or what was the most surprising thing to you this weekend?
You're always going to have some hiccups, and I call it failing forward. I would say triple the amount of people that came up to me. I was like, the freaking Brits. Oh my gosh. They loved on us so damn much. I had so many tear moments with the Brits. Just the people, the freaking sweaty hugs, an insane amount of sweaty hugs that and just love and fist bump and high fives and butt slaps and all that stuff was it felt like twice as much as last year. And the amount of gracious dealing with it when we made the hiccups, when somebody would come to us or something, there was not a single time, and this is never the case at a Spartan or a Tough Mudder or a DECA or any big event, man. You could look at the major sports, NFL, MLB, NHL, all those as well, NBA. There's always going to be somebody really pissed off, really pissed. Something happens in the heat of the moment. The few times that happened, day of, or even now after working through some things, so much freaking gracious love and support and just genuine love for what we're doing while we deal with the situation. I think we've created a family, and people realize that that's how, like, I'll never be the person that's like, okay, something happens. Let's sit down with the lawyer, get the formal statement, and let's
Right.
stand tall and present. That's effing bullshit.
Right.
Just be transparent, man. Tell them everything. And I think they feel that it's like a family. It was 1,500 people, no different than ever at my house for Thanksgiving. They kind of feel that that's the culture we want, and our whole little team lives and breathes that, and that's just kind of bled out into the whole DECA community. So I really felt that. I kept expecting something bad, like somebody to come in and jump in my shit, but it just never happened. So that was a pleasant, I don't want to say a surprise. I think we've worked our ass off to accomplish that. Our team the last 4 years, everybody on our team would say it's the hardest they've ever worked in their life. But me, it's the hardest I've ever worked in my life, but it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done, ever accomplished. Our team is just freaking amazing.
Well, let's give them a chance to shout out here, because I made sure that I did that. It was a post, Robin posted something on her own account, and that's what got me to be like, hey, Yancy gets a lot of love. Let's give this whole team love, because I know that Spartan's got about 27 sports. Joe just likes to buy stuff, and they've hit a home run with DECA, because you and Jared just took it on like your own and went bananas. And now I know Jared's on to other stuff, but can you just maybe tell everybody who Robin is, what she does? Nelson, Mark, Preston, anybody else I'm forgetting? Like, you want to give them some shout outs?
I appreciate you bringing this up, because there's always one person that gets, maybe the person that they always bring the mic to. I'm not good at much, but I just love bringing big energy, but there's a lot of stuff that happens to make it. I'm like 1%
Your timing team, like everybody.
Yeah. I'll start with Brian Duncanson. Early on, Joe kind of gave us Brian. And Brian has been an amazing liaison. He's been with Joe. A lot of people don't realize Brian's been with Joe from freaking almost the get-go.
Yeah, day one.
And Brian came from the event space. Joe and Brian met. Brian was doing events and is like, oh, you'd be good for the team. It gave us this amazing liaison that knew the C-level corporate side of Spartan very well. And we had a decent chemistry. Brian helped us have decent chemistry. You had Yancy and Jared over here. And it's like, C-levels didn't really give him much shit about what we were doing. It's like, whatever they're doing over there. Brian helped kind of intertwine it all. And he's been a huge key piece for us. I'm with Brian. I'm on the phone with Brian probably once a day for the past 3 years. He's just, he is a massive key piece to our team. He's so freaking level-headed. I'm like I'm freaking ADD curveballs, like tons of ideas. It's like, we're good, man. We'll get to this. He's just a calming presence. Robin, director of marketing. The great thing about Robin, what was for me, is I didn't feel like I lost Jared. She's my Jared. We just talk all the time, and we roll well together. And we were really too loose with marketing and creative and social. You probably remember, you can probably go back and tell, oh, that must be the day Robin started, because we just started leveling up in marketing and social and communication. And she's a great sounding board for me. I can call her if I have an issue. It's like, what do you think? Because we think a lot alike. We're very humble, and we want to love and serve and motivate. And she really believes in that culture. A lot of times we had people that were like, I don't know what Jared and Yancy are talking about over there. Celebrate fitness, win the carrying game, that type of shit. This is Spartan the fuck up.
Right, right,
Robin's
right.
really good. She's been really good for that. Preston's director of sales. He's our freaking Army Ranger, dude. Everybody needs an Army Ranger on your team, right? He's just a hard charger. He speaks the language. He heard me do one of Yancey's wild, crazy 30-minute sales call with a gym, and it was like a sponge. 5 minutes later, I'm listening to him do the calls. Like, well, that might as well been me. He just nailed it. He's been amazing. He was managing F-45s before. So when you take Robin and Preston and I and some of our other team, Robin and I alone probably have 55, 60 years of fitness coaching experience, owning our own fitness businesses and whatnot. So Nelson is the hardest working human I've ever met on planet Earth. There is not almost to a fault. He is the hardest working human to ever walk planet Earth. Old school, hard work. If you are anybody out there, if you're building a team, we would never let you have him from us. But if you're building a team, you want one of him on your freaking team. He just puts his nose down and goes, dude. It's almost to the point where you got to say, Nelson, nobody can match you. So you almost have to meet people in the middle sometimes because they're gonna I can't keep up with him. It's just I would need an hour to explain what he's done for us. Jared and I were like, we need leaderboards. Our very first event in Florida is coming up. We need leaderboards. An hour later, we had fucking leaderboards. It's insane. He drives up and down doing road shows. I can throw anything at him, and he'll be like, "Let me see if I can make it happen." He's just
Right.
a rock star, dude. Cynthia Siegel, what a blessing. She does accounting management, bookkeeping, finance, affiliate relations support, helping Arlene. She's just one of the sharpest, calmest, coolest collective person you'll ever work with. She's kind of that Nelson category. I'll be damned, you need a Cynthia on your team. She's been with Spartan a long, long time. I think 8 or 9 years. She's just so damn good at what she does. She keeps it structured. Like, she helps manage a lot of stuff, man. Arlene is technically our affiliate relations manager. Let me give you a day in the life of Arlene. There are some weekends we have 30 races at gym events across the country. They submit a request. This is what I want to do. And they all look a little different. And she has to stand there. She gets the registration stood up in short time so people can go to the website and start signing up. Answers probably 50 to 100 special requests a day through email. Just a rock star. That's the 7 core. But we have a lot of people that have been working Spartan stadiums and OCRs and even some Tough Mudder people that have come in and is like, oh, so this is DEKA. It's funny, true story. Joe was like, I can't. He came to the first one, was like, I can't let all my people see this. They're used to dealing with the mud and the barbed wire on the side of a freaking ski mountain with the wind and the rain and the snow and sandbagging everything down. They're gonna want to do more DEKA. We're a little cleaner, of course, but there's so many people from the Spartan side that have helped us, and we always get somebody a little new, but you got the core group that comes. Jones, dude, Jones is my brother. He is my freaking brother. We do a lot of work together and other things that we do, other teams and organizations. We do Get Burley events together, traveling the country. And Jones has been our race director. He helped us get Go Ruck started. He's just a hard working got a heart about this freaking big, dude. He just loves serving people. He's calm presence. He deals with my 90-mile-an-hour brain really well, helps level me out a little bit. Just love everybody on the team. But I'll have to go back to one specific person, because early on there was a decent period of time where the only person that believed in us was Joe. Jared and I, that's the only person we had. And that was a while. And Brian came on, and we pitched heavy to Brian. Brian's like, his light bulb moment came on. And that was huge for us, because we had that guy, that C-level guy that had been with Spartan for a long time. It's like, I get what you guys are doing. Let's effing go.
Yeah. when you guys came to Atlanta, it was, I think, your second or third fit ever.
Oh yeah. Second. That was second after Dallas, Fair Park.
So is that 21? That had to be 21, right? Because 20 was
Yeah.
a wash. And we had
Yeah.
all been at a Ragnar that day, me and Gary B and a couple of other folks. And I saw this thing, and I honestly, like, I didn't know what to make of it. Like, everybody's asked me if I've done a DEKA fit. I'm like, well, I did the Florida one, and even the Florida one, which was that weird out. That was like the first DEKA mile, basically. Like, even
Mhm.
then, I was like, I have no idea what the fuck this thing is. Like, again, I'm wearing a Spartan Combat shirt. Funny enough, people don't even know this is yet another Spartan brand. I love this shirt. It fits me. It's black. It looks cool. It's a good shirt to work out in. But
Yeah.
Joe does a lot of stuff. Joe's got a lot of ideas. And I was like, this kind of just felt like another one of those things. And so it wasn't until, I don't know, maybe a year later, as High Rocks and DEKA events were happening, that I was like, oh, like, we got this is a whole thing. So for
Okay.
me, the difference between the Florida parking lot and the Georgia, I'd been to a fucking like gun show at that place before. I'm not a gun guy,
It's,
but like when I had a staffing company,
it's
that what was the name of that venue? The
it was, I don't remember. We did a one
it
lapper in
wasn't
there.
it wasn't it wasn't pretty. Just put you that way.
No, man. It was like little nooks and crannies where I had people running and doing all weird little things. And
Yeah. So anyway, to me, to watch the growth to where it's at. So I want to get to the what can we improve on stuff,
yeah.
and judging is the big one. But let's get the big one out of the way, that that happened during the women's strong. That's the big one. Some people might not know. Do you want to break it down? Do you want me to start?
Yeah. No, I can definitely break it down. And I'm glad I had the opportunity to talk about this on your show. Um First off, I want to say that the two females that were involved, uh Camilla and Alondra, over the last couple of days, I've had a lot of communication with them. Two of the most salt of the earth, amazing ladies. It was this the mistake that I made, the mistake that our team made, put them in a effing terrible situation. Both of them, brutal, gut wrenching situation. They did not do a damn thing wrong. It was 100% on us, and we put them in the most terrible situation possibly out of the one we've ever been in. And the first time I got on the phone with both of them, they were freaking, they were gracious. They weren't pissed off. They weren't angry. It was like this I remember I kept thinking the whole time, I was like, I wish the whole world could quickly see it, what we did to them, and then how the first 5 seconds and the next hour that I'm talking about, how they handled it. Amazing. I want the world to know that. And I'll bring a little more, I'll sprinkle a little more in as I tell the story. But it's like, we need freaking more of that. We need more of how Camilla and Alondra dealt with this, because they would have had every right to freaking chew my ass out. We made a major mistake. So if I had it to do over again, I think a big mistake that I made
Can I
was,
interrupt you really quickly? Because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I want to shout something else out, because I know I need to hear this too. So, and I know she wouldn't care if I said this, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. Chris Roglowski and I have had, many conversations and everybody loves Chris, right? Kicks ass,
Amazing.
smiles, volunteers, all of it. But she said something great to me about, when something comes up, like, why don't you just choose to see the best in people, right? And I'm the same way. Fuck that guy. That's bullshit. I'm a real hot tempered guy. I've also learned over the years that, like, when I'm wrong, promptly admit it. So I usually do that, right? Sometimes that's a minute later, sometimes that's an hour later, sometimes it's a month later, but usually get to that place. And sometimes it's not received well, right? Sometimes people are like, I don't accept it. You were a dick to me, and I'm going to need some time, and that's cool too. But if something happens, I can say, fuck this deck is fuck, Yancy sucks, or I can choose to see the best in you and say, you know what? I don't think this was intentional. How can we get to a fair solution together? And so I just want to give Chris a shout out for giving
Yeah,
me that.
she
And
is amazing.
that's
She
what it
is,
sounds like those two women did. They chose to see the best in you rather than starting from a place of, why did you fuck me? right? And we have a lot of that. I just want to say we have a lot of that on the internet. We have a lot of that, in the comment section is like, you wouldn't believe what happened today at Dunkin' Donuts. And it's like, well, maybe they're short staffed as fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe they're having a way worse day than you. You know what I mean? Their kid's sick, whatever. And again, I know we hear all this stuff a lot, but I'm just saying it out loud for all of us, for myself. When something happens, take a moment, try to see the best in folks, and let's go from there. Go ahead.
I love you for that, dude. Here's the deal. This is a non-debatable. Just about every person all day long in their life, they carry around a flamethrower or a fire extinguisher. That's the way I look at it.
I love it.
Some people just flamethrow shit, everything on social media or in person. The worst is when you'll flamethrow on social media, but you pretend to be all good and proper in person. I can't if you're going to flamethrow on social media, be your true self. And then I just always try to carry a fire extinguisher because
I love it.
Life is beautiful and it goes by about that fast. I refuse to wake up at 70, 80 when I'm kind of stepping away from this all maybe. And like, wow, what a shithead I was. I refuse to be that person. You know what I mean? So Camilla and Alondra, we have an amazing foot doctor, Alondra. This girl operates on people's feet, dude, and ankles and that's what the next day, that's probably what she was doing. Think about that in the grand scheme of things. And she loves fitness. She's the hero of these 80 percenters that we built DEKA for, and they're watching her, and they're this far from her as she races on the course. They raced an hour earlier doing the same thing that she did, and same with Camilla. So I love those ladies so much and how they handle this. So I think the big mistake that I made is, if I had to do over again, we would unveil the Z-Bax tanks first event next year, Knoxville next year. That would have been a better move. Everybody was used to the sponsorship is big, as you said. We got some really nice sponsorship, Z-Bax sponsors. So it was a tough call, kind of a coin flip deal. I was like, got to take care of the sponsors. But I think I still would have took the hardline approach and waited next year. So we had just everybody in general, even our staff was new to the stuff. I'm just going to get straight to the point here. The 70 plus females was the last wave to go off the course before the elites. And we had a nice buffer, I think 20, 30 minute buffer. And you go down through, if you watch the resistance handles, the resistance 1 through 8.
First of all, you got to explain the difference between the two tanks, between torque and you know what, actually, before you do that, I'm going to get a refill of coffee, which is kind of on brand for me. I'm crushing shit daily with my Resolute coffee. So I'll be right back.
We got a little all gas, no brakes, baby. Texas Longhorns in the college football playoffs. Let's go. Look for the only cute female on the sideline every Texas Longhorn game. That's my wife, ladies.
That's Mrs. Culp herself, the one who designed that logo. Listen, I was told all weekend. No, remember your old logo?
The sculpture. I thought you meant this logo. Sculpture logo. Yes, she did.
Anyway, go ahead. The sign that I saw all weekend was horns up, belts on. When you're driving on Dallas, put those seatbelts on. That was the message. They did a good job. All right, hang on. All right. Hey, Yancy, it's Matthew McConaughey.
Man, I was rolling.
Here you got a lot going on with that DEKA Fitness. I'm going to roll up in my Cadillac.
Let me tell you something. I was hanging out with the powerlift booth for a while. I took on my Cajun accent for over an hour, and I had those guys laughing their asses off. We had the cold plunge going, and people were getting in, and we had full-blown Cajun going on for a while, brother. It was epic. But
I met Cajun Yancy in the bathroom, and you freaked me out a little bit. I was like, I don't know. I'm in the bathroom. I'm at the stall. Guy etiquette is usually you don't talk to the dude next to you at the stall, but here comes Cajun Yancy in my ear. Go ahead, dude.
So anyway,
let's break down the difference in the two tanks, and then we'll talk about what happened on Sunday.
Torque Tank, love those guys. They have been amazing. The reason why we went with magnetic resistance, because Jared and I knew we would have thousands of events going on across the world, and traditional sleds on turf, concrete, pavement, the freaking rubber floors. You can't gamify fitness with 50 different types of sleds, different friction points. Magnetic resistance allowed us on all those surfaces to gamify it. And then I was like, so here's what happened. The quick backstory. DEKA started really freaking growing and booming and 300 plus gyms. And it's like, the light bulb moment came on. It's like, Torque's amazing. They're doing well. But what if Torque accidentally went out of business right now? We would be effed. We've got to find we got a couple air bikes that'll work, couple rowers that'll work, whatever. You got to have a backup plan. What if Concept 2 went out of business? You got to have multiple things that line up really well. So we do extensive testing, and the Z-Bex, we found that it lined up well. I will kind of give you a little more pointers. After Worlds, it does look like Resistance 8. I'm getting out ahead of myself. I'll get to that in a minute. The Torque tank, we've been doing it for 3+ years. Resistance 3 is men. Resistance 2 is females. Resistance 1 is the kiddos. You take the handles down and up. The Z-Bex, very similar. Magnetic resistance handle. Resistance 8 is the male.
Okay.
Resistance 6 is the female, and 5 is the youth. And through extensive testing, we found that it matched really, really well. Looking at all of our Worlds data, the men were right on top of all of DEKA last year, man, right on top. It was amazing. We did find that Resistance 6 for the females, a little light. So I'm here to tell you, you'll get to announce it first. It looks like we are going to go to Resistance 7 across the board for females. And that does line up a little better when we really dive into the data with the old Resistance 2 for the Torque tank. And I say old, about half our gyms have Torque, about half our gyms have Z-Bex, line up really well. So looks like we'll be going to Resistance 7 for the females, because across the board, they were all a little faster. So anyway, the 70+ females went. 20-30 minutes later, elites are lined up, they go. Preston and I triple checked those damn tanks on 6. What I think happened, 99% sure this happened. It could have been Preston and I screwed it up. Literally checked it 2 or 3 times and we screwed it up. I don't think that was the fact. We had so many amazing volunteers that kind of would work with us in different zones and help set things. The way the Z-Bex resistance is set, it's got a little nook, a little plastic indention that sits right on the number. Well, you can't see it unless you get down close. So it's, to the naked eye, it doesn't dramatically jump out at you if it's on 5 or 6. Standing off to the side, you can definitely say, my goal was to take a silver Sharpie and make a little silver mark there so it really popped more. I didn't get it done. 100% on me. Long story short, Alondra, lane 7, her sled was left at Resistance 5. And she came in about, this is some crazy math that lined up really good. I'm telling the females this math when I'm talking to Alondra and Camilla. I said, listen, Alondra, you won by 13 seconds. Camilla, your sled was 13 seconds slower than Alondra. I stole what was probably going to be a burpee battle coming down to 1 freaking burpee. Right. That's what I stole from you. That's what we freaking prevented from happening. That's what we tarnished. And those ladies mutually said that we should be co-champions. And I'm like, amazing.
Done.
Amazing. Done deal.
Right.
I talked to the team. I talked to Brown. I talked to the team. I said, both ladies agreed to be mutual champion. I've already called JP and said, JP, send me their gold world champion ram. Camilla needs hers. It was just beautiful. I've been in situations where I know not all people would have handled it that way. Alondra could have taken a hard line approach, and I would have said, you deserve to take the exact approach that you take. Camilla could have thrown a fit and deserved to throw a fit. But going back to what we said in the first 5 minutes of this podcast, it was this, dude, I was in tears on the phone because of the way these 2 beautiful, huge-hearted ladies were dealing with this, man. It was just, that's why I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I hope 100,000 people hear this and they take this piece of this.
I hope 100,000 people hear it. That would be amazing for my numbers.
Right. I mean, I hope people I hope people don't like, oh, Deca, what a bunch of dumbasses. How could you not see it was on? It's like, I think about CrossFit. People don't realize how insane it is to pull shit off. And you forget that. So the team forgets that, oh my God, 1/2 of the field hasn't had as much sun. So those sleds are going to be faster than this half of the field. I promise you, there was 15 people behind the scenes that were devastated. They were gutted.
Right.
We were gutted. I've been gutted for 2 days. I was gutted up until the point that Camilla and Alondra won the day.
Can
And
we
they
back up though?
came up
Because
with the
I want to break it down a little bit more
yeah, for
because
sure.
I'm just curious from your perspective. I can tell you
What's that, bro?
I'm getting ready to board a plane and my phone
Yeah.
starts blowing up for multiple folks, right? And I was like, oh boy. And I immediately I was immediately thinking of you because I was like, I know this isn't what Yancy wants. I know again to like end the weekend. It's the final event. We've seen the Alondras. We've seen Morgan Schultz, Nick Riker, Kevin Gregory. Like these people rise to the fucking occasion. I could cry now. Like that's what the weekend is about for me, right? Like that's what I love that we had so many different people. Like we love a dominant champion. We love we love a machine, right? That just comes in and crushes everybody. But we also love
These little 10 to 13-year-old kiddos racing, and then an hour later, the 70 plus.
I just meant in terms of
Tears,
the I meant in terms
tears.
of the I just mean in terms of the elites.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like the fact that Kevin broke up Ryland's, trifecta or whatever. Just all the like Morgan surprising everybody, including herself, about that thing. So anyway, I know it's not so like at what point on Sunday did someone say to you, "Hey, this
Dude,
happened," and then did you run
nope.
over the sled and like break it down for me?
So check this out. So we the goal, because we have you there and OCR report there. We want to get the females off the course, even the second wave. Let them have all their spotlight. But this much time later, I'm running down to launch the elite males. Have no clue there's even any chatter. 99% of the people probably didn't realize it. A few intimate parties involved. Probably the chatter started building. Got all the way through the podium ceremony until I even kind of realized, sense that there was something going on. To Camilla's credit, she's on the podium and she has this beautiful smile on her face and she's happy. Are you kidding me? How beautiful is that? She wasn't even shown. She flushed the green and handled it so well. So I kind of started sensing it. And then but I had to dive right back into all the stuff and started trying to go into as much research mode as possible after the podium ceremony, and started crunching some numbers. Called Jack. I got on Jack quickly. I said, Jack, start crunching numbers, dude. Within 2 hours, Jack sent me, how cool is this? Alondra's mile sled time was about 12, 13 seconds slower than our Sunday strong time. Lined up very, very well. There was so much data showing that, oh my gosh, we stole a beautiful finish. Because if you watch the replay, Carly was kind of bonking, and you saw Alondra and Camilla in zone 8 were moving, dude, with those ball overs. And then, of course, Alondra and Camilla were both moving with the sleds. Alondra, unfortunately, was just moving a little faster because we screwed the situation up. But they were primed. They were going when Carly was kind of had a great front end of her race and was kind of tapering off. And but there was so much showing. We had a lot of like mid 140s, a lot of mid 140s on strong and mile and fit. No, fit was like a lot of 2 flats, 205s, because coming into that run for whatever reason, they're slower. We had a lot of mid 40s. So you had all these mid 140 to 150 times, 155s, and then you had this 133. And I think the writing was on the wall there. And Alondra's like, and her previous day's time was right about where Camilla's was on Sunday. That's all the data that I have. Oh, and some really good pictures where we were able to zoom in. And it's like, man, I staged it in my front yard and I created the exact angle that we had. And I built a collage where you had Alondra's tank, my tank in my yard, my driveway exactly set on 5, and then the one set on 6. And it just like, it kind of jumps out at you. You can kind of tell. I looked through about 2,000 photos to find every one of Alondra's sleds. There wasn't a single sled that actually where the camera was, how they get real close sometimes. I was never able to see it was on fire, but just the angle was just like it jumps out at you. And that with the time, and then both ladies saying it makes sense to us. That's about all the details that I had, and just a lot of great conversations and text messaging back and forth with Camilla and Alondra. The last message I got from Alondra was it's just heartwarming, dude. It's just
So
heartwarming.
if they're co-champions, does money change? Does everybody else move up?
We are, so we're gonna, it's 3 people. We're gonna absolutely pay them both first place prize money, and Carly stays 3rd place. I should have come a little more prepared than that. That the last time I talked yesterday, that's what it looks like. What we're gonna do. The norm is not to. Anytime you have a tie, let's say you have
you don't bump up. It's just first, right?
It's 6, 6, 8. It's not 6, 6, 7. So it's
right.
Carly would stay where she's at, and they'll both get the gold Spartan Ram. JP was excited. He's already working on Alondra's gold Spartan Ram.
Yeah, I just messaged JP today. He's already back.
Yeah, what a rock star that guy is, man. He is just that's my brother from another mother right there. And we've been working together for a long time. We kind of helped broker that whole Spartan Ram deal, and we snuck the Rams into the stadium race, and Spartan didn't even really hardly know, and it was such a cool deal. And now the Ram is there's probably been a freaking 1 million Spartan Ram burpees done when you look at DEKA and you look at Spartan Stadium. But
I just did 30 last night.
Nice. JP hooked you up with the Ram set, man.
Dude, listen.
Are you doing some body maintenance with them? You rolling? You tempering with them?
No. I do have a gun. I have a. You guys need a gun sponsor. I have a. What do you call it? I have a Theragun. So yeah, I told you this when I saw you, but for whatever reason, it just kind of clicked that this is a workout I can do, right? So me and my buddy Clayton, we just go I found a spot that's 250 meters, right? And we do laps. We come home, we do it in my backyard. I put up a little silly video yesterday of us doing the deal. And we, at this kitchen table, we signed up together for our first strong I think it's called Thrive in Woodstock, Georgia. So January 13th, my first strong.
That fires me up. Yeah, I know Thrive in Woodstock. Great. I'm brain farting on the name of the gym owner. He has 2 gyms in Georgia, by the way. Awesome dude. Did you see Friday evening DEKA mile teams? Were you there for that?
No, I mean, I've watched a lot of footage and seen a bunch of stuff, but I had to go.
Never seen the epicness of what happened. I had no fewer than 100 people come to me and say that is ready for TV right now. That was like NASCAR meets WWE meets the 4x1 100-meter relay.
Listen, man, I was standing there with Mr. Duncanson that you mentioned. We're standing there at the Strong. Yeah, the Strong. So I signed up for a mile. I don't know if I said Strong. I'm doing a mile in January. We're standing at the Strong, and we're kind of in the middle with just all the lanes. And we're talking about how well it was going. He's like, this is ready for TV. And I said, I agree. I said, now you got to get a nicer floor, right? So no matter what you're saying, you would never do a carpet kind of situation for these events. You would always just go with whatever the natural surface is. Because even if you're on carpet, the tanks aren't going to change.
Never say never there. They're very true. Here's the balancing act. And this is going to sound weird to some people, but you have to remember I've coached 7,000 group exercise classes. I've been in hundreds of gyms. I know why the 80%ers are scared to death to walk into the gym or step up to a start line. I never want us to become this event. Maybe world championships levels up, but even the DEKA fits, and especially the gym events, I want love, motivation, inspiration to always be one notch ahead. Strict judging. I want the standards to improve. We could talk about some of the very specific things we talked about in our AAR yesterday, where we're going to really ramp things up, but it's a balancing act to try, because the ultimate goal, my very first idea with this was to crack the code of why 80% of people in Atlanta and Austin and every community have never had a gym membership and never walked into a gym before in their life, never tested their fitness. I wanted them to feel like, oh my gosh, this is my sport. If you go to if you go to a CrossFit competition or other competitions, and I love what High Rocks does, but that discotheque, drop the lights, super, super formal. This is a non-debatable, people. If you've never been a fitness coach, you might not know this. That 100% creates intimidation for the 80%. Non-debatable. Trust me on that one. That's why we're careful with what we do. Could world championships level up big time? You damn right. And I think there's some very, very specific things we can do. We just got to be careful that we don't disturb the apple cart so well that's crushing it inside the gym, 10, 20, 30, 40 gym events every single weekend across the world.
Right,
It's a
so
balancing act.
here's us, buddy.
Yeah.
See that? So that's
Look
us, man.
at that.
So you and JP have changed my life, man. I'm doing this on the regular.
I love it. I love that, man.
So we were just looking at me and Clayton doing some amazing lunges, which brings us back to we got to talk about the judging stuff. I want to make sure that that we cover that, because that's kind of what I heard. I got messages, everything from and again, back to seeing the best or the worst, everything from, man, this has got to get better, to this is fucking bullshit. So
let's go straight to zone one, which is
here's what I saw. Here's what I saw, and this is what I've said kind of since day one. And I think what happens a lot with companies with inefficiencies and that single point of failure. So if Yancy's the only head judge, that's bad news. That means if Yancy's not there, or you talk about that company going out of business, Yancy gets hit by a truck, Yancy can't show up, right? So you've got to have head judges that are really fucking good, able to train other people real quick, because, if you do 2 or 3 bad lunges and I'm like, hey, I'm going to no rep you, hey, I'm going to no rep you, then you no rep them, then they do a couple more good ones, then they do a couple more bad ones, then they're out of there. That zone's over, right? And so you can't physically grab someone and go, hey, fucking stop it. You know what I mean? So, and I heard you coaching the athletes up and saying, hey, let's lead by example. And that's true. And you're going to have athletes like Chris Roglowski that she's always last out of that fucking zone because she's going to give you the best lunges she can. And then you're going to have a lot of other people that are like, what's that line? How can I fuck with my judge the most? Right. And then I'm told in CrossFit, that's what they do. Hey, it's for you to find that depth line with squats, and it's up to you to find that line that you can ride for maximum efficiency. I mean, I've always said, I don't know that I've ever seen full lockout from Tia on anything. You know what I mean? She's just flying. Tia Claire Toomey I'm talking about. So talk to me about getting folks ready to be judges and how we can improve. Obviously, 1 in 10 are the big ones.
I think being year 2, it's like, I was talking to the team. It's like, okay, it's like, we're no different than the NFL back in the 60s. We're no different than CrossFit in 2009 or 10. We're no different than the second Kona, all the stuff. It's like, we're there. But I said, where I screwed up was, I think I could have, let's say, a month out before Worlds, if I reached out with the goal of getting 12 judges that were going to be with me all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday for all the elite heats, the individual and the team heats. And if it steps down a notch in age group, I'm sorry, but anyway,
we understand.
Long story short, 12 people where we build the program. When I talked to Spartan yesterday, Brian and I brought up the idea of, on the DEKA.fit landing page, we're going to have a drop down, and it's going to put this massive profile on every single person that's a fully certified, qualified judge. And it's their profile, it's their bio, it's their headshot, it's their bio. But think about if I would have reached out to our gyms a month in advance and it's like, I've got to get to 12 people that are going to be able to be the people for every single elite wave. And then they get there on Thursday, and we spend several hours just dedicated to making this right. And then the bigger piece, this is the bigger piece, by the way. Let's look at zone 1. If you went to every gym event and every DEKA Fit event, probably even Chris Roglowski, the best of the best, there may have never been a perfect lunge. It may have never happened. 99% of those reps, there's a few things happening, and it moves so fast that it puts a judge in a terrible situation to even try to keep count of no reps. I said, so that's on me. If half the people are sneakily working in the split squat jumps and not coming up tall, but when Kevin, Ryan, Rylan, Nick, and all of them are doing these, to the guys' credit, they all look, none of them were doing them 100% right, but they all look pretty similar. I said, why don't we allow that? Allow the split squat jump. They're going to get out of there 3, 4, 5 seconds faster. It's going to, when you split squat jump, it blows the legs up more. So what if every elite's doing that? Now, all of a sudden, the only thing that has to be maintained is the knee must make contact. That's way easier to manage than did he get full knee extension? Because technically, by the way the rule says, both feet must be touching the ground before you start the next rep. That is unbelievably hard to manage. It shouldn't have taken me that long to realize, light bulb moment, dumbass. You're literally putting every judge in a terrible situation. It literally is up to the athlete because it's almost impossible to see to the naked eye. So that's one example. There's several other zones that we're talking about, several things we can do. So it's twofold: improve the judging program, but some minor modifications to the rules. It doesn't dumbify or make the rep look stupid, and it makes the stress way level on the athlete and the judge and the event production itself.
Well, Chris actually had a good solution that now I can't remember, but she was talking about putting a line that basically said, even if you did the jump, it would make it harder, basically. So if it makes it harder, not easier, then that's fine. I forget. I think she said a line where the back foot has to go, and that way, no matter what, I fucking forget what she did. Talk to Chris, but I thought that was halfway decent solution. So
yeah. So anyway. But here's the thing. I have to the biggest difference in us and all other event spaces is I have to design the standards in a way where, hey, all 40 events this Saturday can easily follow the standard. Rich Ryan Kent, a bunch of them were on a podcast one day, and this is where I first got the idea. Rich said, I wonder what if they allow the split squat jump. It sucks. You leave there fatigued as hell. Your heart rate spikes and you get more acid building up in the legs. I think some athletes would choose to do it. Some athletes wouldn't. Some athletes would choose to leave that zone 3 seconds later and not have the heart rate spike and the anaerobic disaster that comes from 30 split squat jumps. But you could do it if you wanted to. And half of them are doing it anyway, and we're trying to clean it up. So I think it's a really, really good move, possibly. We haven't said it's going to be guaranteed, but it's a good move for the most highest profile zone where we see the issues. And they're fresh. Their heart rate's at 50 when they hit that zone. So they're going fast and furious. So I do think it's that and multiple other zones we're wanting to clean up. I think it's going to be a step in the right direction if we end up going that route.
Yeah, and I think that's asking a lot, the coming in Thursday thing. But the first Elite Heat Friday isn't till what, like 11. So even having them come in at 8 on Friday and knowing these are your badass judges and they're there for the elites and they're there for the teams, and then whatever that is. And I also think, and I know you're not going to love this, but it's like I've been saying for Spartan, just throw them $100 for the day. Like, just give them something, get that in the budget. And I know Joe won't want to do it, but figure out a way, because then it's not just like, well, sorry, what do you expect? We got volunteers. It's like, hey, you're going to make $100 for the day. You're going to work 5-6 hours all in, and you're going to still get to compete when your turn is to go, and et cetera, et cetera.
A challenge point to train judges. I know it can be done though, and I know CrossFit has to deal with this. Every single person has this big heart, and even when you get them dialed in, aggressively dialed into judging, there's a different level. A small percentage of people have zero issue no repping people, and then it steps down. Some people, it would have to be. I can't imagine how egregious it would have to be for them to no rep. You don't want that person in your elite 12. I love
Right.
them,
Right.
but and here's another thing. The what I've learned is the easiest way to no rep people. I did it a couple times over the weekend. Let's say you're on rep 7 and you have a shitty rep. And your next rep, I count 7. Your next rep, I count 7. Your next rep, I count 7. I keep counting 7. That fucking works like a champ. They quickly realize, oh shit, I'm never going to get to 30. And it also prevents this person from having to keep track of no reps. Just keep counting 7 until they fix the problem. It really dumbifies how to do it. That's how I try to coach them up to make it really easy on that person that might be a little nervous. Because they'll say, how do I track how many they did? It's like, don't track them at all. Just keep counting the same number until they fix the problem.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. That's how we would officially train our 12 people. But
yeah, because I saw Amber Tate in there on Sunday, and she's like, "I'm ready to roll," and I'm like, "Well, that's what we need. We need a bunch of Ambers in there. I mean, on the championship, anyways."
yeah, what about? Have you ever seen that girl do zone 3, the box step up overs?
Of course, I have. I put her. I shared that video. Of course,
that video went viral for her. I was so happy about that.
I know when I saw her at PA. So, anything else you want to say? I mean, I know we could talk about world champs forever, but I wanted to give you a chance to cover the judging stuff, and especially that big shared first place for the strong. Anything else big we want to cover?
Just I want all the gym owners, the general managers, the fitness directors, the fitness coaches, the athletes, the members, everybody that's every non-coach has put their coaching hat on and invited a friend, family, coworker, neighbor into a gym event to earn your mark. We like to say, thank you. There's a lot of people that have told me, there was a lot of people, even at Worlds, that told me I was never into fitness. And now look at me, 3 years later, I've qualified for Worlds after my first DEKA finish line. You know, we wanted to create a nationally and eventually a globally recognized sport for all levels. We wanted a situation in the United States where 99.9% of people were within a short drive of a DEKA affiliate gym where they could go train and test. And then periodically go back to that exact same test so they could see how much they're improving. So that group exercise class, are you doing your burpees in the backyard, mean a little more, your lunges in the backyard mean a
I
little
also do
more
the burpees, by the way.
Yeah, they mean a little more than just looking better in the bathing suit or losing a few pounds or inches. It's about, I'm becoming a better athlete. I'm being selfish with my time in my backyard of the gym, and I'm training. I'm not exercising. I'm training because I'm an athlete. And I never thought I would be one. And look, I'm 7 minutes faster than I was last year. The time that I invested in myself, one, I'm able to serve my family better. I'm able to take my kids on active vacations if I want to. I'm able to do the type of work I want to do. And I'm a better athlete. Ultimately, if at the end of if 20 years from now, if somebody's interviewed Jared and I, and they say, Yancy, what it made it, what happened? That right there, what I just said. People that never had their sport felt like they had their sport over the past 20 years. And we're a more fitter planet. And DEKA played a role in that. DEKA created arguably one of the largest fitness movements the world's ever seen. Spartan and CrossFit, for example, arguably could say help create two of the largest fitness movements the world's ever seen. I want DEKA. Trust me, I'm competitive. I'm a competitor, dude. I want us to be 10 years now. Like, that is arguably the greatest fitness movement that's ever occurred because of what they did at the gym level. They've had 27,000 events, for example, 5 years from now. we're at 1,200 now. We've had 1,200 events. So that's ultimately the thing. And I want to give massive appreciation to all those athletes that know we're failing forward and they see our issues. And before they talk about the issue, 99% of them are talking about how we have, about what we've accomplished and how amazing it felt, like a family all day long for 3 days, and the love and the hugs. That came before, oh, by the way, you guys need to effing clean up zone 1. I love that was the narrative first. And just another shout out to Camilla and Alondra, man. I anybody listening to this, I hope I spoke about it enough for you to realize how they dealt with this. And more of us, including me, sometimes in occasions, that's how I need to handle life. You need to handle life and sport and competition, and just from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, you need to handle life sometimes like Camilla and Alondra handle it.
Perfect.
Props to those two ladies.
All right, brother. I got to jump. Love you, man.
Be good.